Good morning, everybody. This is going to be another one of those random disjointed videos. I have several things I want to talk about, but I want to show you something first. You people who are at the crochet part, I want to show you something. You know, the shirt I made that I didn't do the gauge swatch, I made it, it was like huge. I decided to remake that. And since I don't use the 4mm hook that it suggests, and the yarn, this Comfy Cotton Blend yarn it's labeled as a number 3, but it's actually kind of a thicker number 3. I think that was my problem in the first place. I used a 5.5mm hook, and I had a reason I did that, but it turned out huge, just huge. But I want to show you how this works up. I decided to remake that shirt, but I decided to go down a half millimeter. I went down to 5mm. I don't like to use below 5mm. It's harder on the hands. And this yarn is not truly a 3, I don't think. I think it's a little bit thicker, and it's harder to use a smaller hook with a bigger yarn. I tried it. I have a 4.25mm hook, and it really wasn't working that well. So I went ahead and decided to use a 5. But I was doing the foundation half double crochet starting chain, and I was thinking it was coming out big, and I had originally done the medium size. Well, I started out, I thought, well, I'll just do the small size. It goes in small and extra small. I'll do the small size. I was doing the small, and I thought, that's going to come out too big too with the hook I'm using and the yarn. So I went to the smallest size that they have on the pattern, which is extra small. And darn, if that thing is not going to fit, that's just crazy. But I can use a 5mm hook, and this is going to be really good. But I got this at a deal at Walmart online. Now, it's not available anymore. I told you about the chai latte, 3 cakes of this for $10 in the chai latte color, and then they popped up this. This is Cloud 9, this color. And I thought, I've never seen that. I'd be crazy not to get it. So I got 3 skeins of this, cakes of that. And I want to show you how it works up. It's got beautiful colors. It's got some navy blue, some, looks like some kind of a sky blue, some seafoam green, some cream, and some purple in there. And I just want to show you how that works up, okay? Because a lot of times it's hard just looking at a cake of yarn to know what it's going to look like in a pattern. This is how it works up in half double crochet, okay? Can you see that? Let me see if you can see that. Can you see that? Isn't that pretty? Another very spring-like color. I thought I just want to show you that. And I do think it's going to fit in the extra small size. Crazy. I'm not extra small, but anyway, whatever works, right? Sorry about my crazy hair today. I look very windblown, and I guess maybe that's because it's been very windy here for like 2 weeks. It's been crazy windy. Anyway, I wanted to first I wanted to say, you know, the craziness that's gone on. They put Erin Brockovich on a terrace watch. What in the world? You know, when you expose cover-ups, they tend to not like that too much. Yeah, and Norfolk Southern has its own police force. Who gave them the right to police a town? That's just crazy. And do they have authority over the local police? This is weird. The whole thing is so weird. And you know why they blew that up. They blew it up because it was the fastest way and the cheapest way to get the rails open again and to keep their business going. That's why they did it. It has nothing to do with the safest way to prevent any trouble. It had nothing to do with that. In my opinion, it was the fastest, cheapest way for the company to get back in business on those rails, to get the rails back in order and clean it up, than it was to drain each of the tanker cars safely. To me, that's what that happened. And they destroyed an entire town's future water supply, and killed animals, and ruined people's health permanently because of that. That's just great, isn't it? And of course, then we've got the January 6th stuff. All those things that Tucker Carlson just released, and Chucky boy Schumer is going, Rupert Murdoch, don't let him release any more. We don't want them to know the truth. They must believe what we tell them to believe. The worst thing about this is, of course, I saw most of these videos the day of and the day after this happened, because everybody had a camera. Everybody was recording. We have citizen journalists who were posting all their videos. Now, I know they wiped a lot of those off the internet fast as they could. They scrubbed the information. But I saw them before all this came out. So I was well aware of what happened. Anybody who depends on the all blue commies channel type news networks like ABC for their propaganda, that's all they're going to get is propaganda. They're not going to get any information. They're completely woefully informed. So the crybabies now are going, oh my God, they can't learn the truth. Oh my God, please stop showing all that. Yeah, because it shows the truth. It shows the truth. And the guy, the shaman, the guy who is in prison now, he's been sentenced to 4 years in prison for something he's completely innocent of. You watch the videos. There are multiple surveillance cameras showing at least 4 Capitol policemen escorting him through the Capitol, showing him, opening doors for him. Either it was entrapment, I think it's entrapment, because Nancy Pelosi refused the National Guard that day that President Trump offered her. And she refused because they had a plan to get everybody entrapped. You get the feds out going, waving them toward the Capitol. Come on, let's go, guys. Ray Epps, I saw him that day. He lied. He sent a text message to his nephew saying, I orchestrated this. And then he said, oh, I left right after I sent that. And that was a lie because it showed him sticking around at least 30 minutes after he sent that text, getting right up to the front of the crowd and waving people in, encouraging people to go in. Everything was a lie. But the worst thing about the whole thing is this sham committee, they saw those tapes. They knew these people were innocent. They knew this. And they still lied and wrongfully imprisoned all these people. These people are still political prisoners after 2 years. And if they're not released after these tapes come out, maybe they need to find out what a real insurrection is, a real one. That was not an insurrection. They keep using that word because it's a buzzword. It's a word that elicits a response. It's a legal term. There was no insurrection. How do you have an insurrection with a bunch of unarmed people? And the liar in the White House keeps saying, well, the policemen that were killed today. You know how many policemen were killed that day? Zero. Even that Ray Sicknick wasn't killed there. He was not hurt with a fire extinguisher. He was wearing a helmet. And after he supposedly was hit in the head with a fire extinguisher and hurt, fatally wounded, he was walking around inside the Capitol. That was one of the tapes too. He was walking around inside the Capitol with a helmet, directing people and looking perfectly healthy and normal. He probably was stressed from the day, and he might have had a heart condition. He died the next day. It had nothing to do with getting hurt there. He was not a casualty. The only casualty was an Air Force veteran, Ashley Babbitt. So now that all these things are coming out, how are they going to hold these people? How are they holding the people? They already knew they were innocent, and they did this anyway. This was all revenge. This is all revenge. It was all a setup. Now, we all knew this. Anybody with half a brain knew it. Anybody who watched anything knew this. But, that's all the buzz right now. And, I don't think Tucker Carlson is any hero because he treated Sidney Powell horribly when all this thing happened with the election stuff. And behind the scenes, he didn't believe any of it. He just faked it for ratings. So I don't think Tucker Carlson's any savior. Elon Musk is no savior. People are looking to the wrong people as their heroes, truthfully. But anyway, so that's the buzz. So we've got that. We've got trains derailing all over the place. They're popping off of tracks all over the place, all across the country. Railroad trains are just popping off the tracks. Isn't that interesting how that happens? And several are from Norfolk Southern. Isn't that an interesting coincidence? And, and then we got the drag shows. Oh my God, they're over-sexualizing our children, stealing their childhood. I had a childhood. I didn't see this degrading, disgusting things that our kindergartners have to see now. I didn't see any of that. I was as much as 12 years old and I hadn't seen that stuff. Thank God, I had a childhood. I got to be an innocent child. Every child deserves that, but they don't think they do. And so, they're holding these disgusting, amoral, degrading drag show story hours, and anybody who dares to protest is dragged off in handcuffs. Can't interfere with Baphomet's mission, can we? But it was interesting. people don't seem to have the ability to look up things and research anymore. And it saddens me that they depend on everybody else to spoon feed. When you get spoon fed, you know what you get spoon fed? Whatever the person who's spoon feeding you wants you to know. How many times have I said, you look these things up on your own, you do some research. Don't just research with the people who have a dog in the fight. Research with people who don't have a dog in the fight. Go look and see what they say about things. They're more objective. But they don't. It's too hard. It takes too much effort. I don't want to pick on this person. I had posted something in a community section, and I can't remember which story it was. And somebody came in and said, no, I'm not picking on you. If you're watching this, I'm not picking on you. But this is an example of people who want other people to do the work, to research for them, and instead of doing it themselves. And this person says, I know what it was. It was the McDonald's chicken nuggets. They're the plant-based chicken nuggets or something like that. Something to do with McDonald's food, which I hope you're not eating still. And this person said, I knew about the McDonald's stuff a long time ago, but could you find out the truth about the drag show at Tractor Supply somewhere in Texas? I went, what? Could I do that? Did I ask for an assignment? And I said, actually, why don't you go research that? Was my answer. Why don't you go research that? I'm not here taking assignments for research projects. And besides, I wasn't interested in doing that at the time. You don't want to know my take on it. I was just going to go there. I don't want to go down that avenue. But y'all, don't take anybody's word for it. Question everything, do your research, and don't listen to mainstream media. You think you're getting news from those people? If you want to see what's being done to you, look at about 20 different channels across the country on the same night, and you will hear the same exact words coming out of their mouth. They're all reciting scripts. I don't think they ever leave the studio. They don't even research what they're saying. So, anyway, okay. But in spite of all the stuff that trains derailing the drag shows and the plots at the White House and that reprobate Biden and his disgusting pervert family, all that stuff going on, you can't let them take your joy. You can't. Can I help the people, the January 6th people in being held illegally as far as I'm concerned? I can't help them. I want to, but I can't help them. It's beyond my control. It's well beyond my control. Now that the truth is out for people who didn't know the truth, now that they're seeing the video evidence that the whole sham committee was only to get Donald Trump, had nothing to do with actual truth. They're sacrificing all these people for that. Now that they're seeing all this, they're getting frustrated. I don't blame them. But, people are getting upset. Now, don't let it take your joy, okay? Because there are things that you have to decide what you can control, what you can't control. You have to, of course, as the poem says, have the wisdom to know the difference. And enjoy your life. Live your life. I want to tell you something that happened yesterday. This is a very positive story. And for you people who love chickens, you're going to like this story. I've had chickens for over 18 years now. I've had many roosters of many breeds, hatchery stock, descended from hatchery stock, breeder stock, good old heritage line stock. I've had all kinds of roosters. Almost every one of them has been sweet and affectionate and calm and good-natured. Every one of them has been exemplary in watching the skies, calling the girls home when they should, that kind of thing. And most of them have been free-range roosters at one time or another. Outside their pen, let roam. They had before until very recently, anybody who free-ranged out of their barn pen had the full reign of 2 1/4 acres that they could roam within a perimeter fence. Well, I've seen some wonderful rooster behavior out of my boys over the years. And there's one thing, little Mace, Mace, He's not even a year old yet. I think he's less than 40 weeks old, or around 40 weeks old, him and Iris. Cricket hatched them out. They were the only two that hatched. And they are not quite a year old. And of course, when Mace was running with the other 4 roosters in the big group, until he decided to challenge Gunner, and they had this big to-do, and I ended up deciding what to do with Mace, what I originally was going to do with Mace, any extra rooster, put him in there with Hector's girls, my late Hector's 4 remaining barred Plymouth Rock hens, who are much older and much bigger. Because, you know, Mace is a bantam cochin. He's a splash bantam cochin. Well, he's been doing really well. He doesn't have to share his girls. He likes the girls. They seem to like him pretty well. They follow him. They obey what he says. They're good. They're getting along really well. Well, you know, the days have gotten longer. And now, instead of getting dark at 5 and me having to get them in right before 5 o'clock, whoever's out at the time, I've been trying to let them stay out a little longer, but they're used to going in at 5 o'clock. And the time change is about to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So they're used to going in at 5. So it doesn't matter if I let somebody out at 5, they don't want to go. They hang around the barn and they go back into their pen. They're used to going in at that time. And they know, they have an internal clock that tells them what time it is, right? So last night, my husband and I were watching something on television, and Mace's group, Mace and the 4 barred rock hens were out in the pen. I'd let him out the last group of the day. And I thought, well, you know, it's not, it was after 6 o'clock, and it was still, the sun was still up. It hadn't dropped behind the mountain. It was still sunny. It wasn't getting dark or dusky yet. And, you know, I said, with the program finished, and it was like 6:15, I said, I got to go. I said, I'll go lock up the barn. Mace and the girls are probably already sitting on the roost because, you know, they're used to going in at 5, so they're probably sitting there and just waiting for, you know, I just go lock up the doors, check for eggs, you know, make sure Drusilla's okay, blah, blah, the general routine we do at the end of the day. So I go into the gate, and I head toward the door, and I hear Mace chattering. And I go around the door, and he's at the front door. And he's chattering, just talking away, just talking. And he's chattering, his head's going up and down. He's going back and forth. He's running, kind of trotting back and forth along the barn aisle. And I look over there, his girls are all on the roost. They are all settled for the night. All 4 of them girls, they are settled down. They're done. But Mace is in the barn aisle, and he's walking back and forth, and he's just chattering up, and he's leading me to the pen. And he's just chattering, and I had to turn around and close the barn door, and he had gone back, and he came back over there to go get me, and he's going back and forth and just talking up a storm. And I got the feeling I was being fussed out for being late. And I said, okay, it's okay, Mace, I'm coming, go on in, go to the pen, go with the girls. And he walked in his pen, and I shut his pen door, and I went to lower the roll-up door in the back and lock it down. And he was just chattering and looking at me. I said, it's okay, get up on your, he has a little roost bar he sleeps on separate from the girls, because when he first got in there, he was scared to roost with them, and so I put him what we call a princess bar for anybody who's been hassled, just a little one, and had a little heat lamp over it when he was little, you know, because he'd been there for a while, and because he didn't have any body heat, so, you know, just a little bitty reptile bulb over his little roosting spot. So he jumped up on his little bar. So I went to check on Drusilla, and when I looked over there, he was all settled down. This behavior, now I have no doubt that if I hadn't come to lock that barn up, he would have settled himself down right there at that door, at the front door of the barn. And I've seen this behavior in my, now you can count the number of times on one hand that we have left a pop door open. We used to have pop doors, separate coops, and they had pop doors, and each group had their own actual coop with a pop door that went into their own separate pen. And we do different management now, but we used to do that. And there have been a few times where it's been late and I went, oh, I forgot to close the pop door. Or my husband said, you know, or I'll say, I thought you did it. Oh, I thought you did it. You know, that kind of thing. And it'd be dark already. And we would go, and I remember Isaac specifically one time, we went to the pop door, and He was bedded down right in front of the pop door. He was not on the roost where he always goes, he always went. He was right in front of the door, right where a predator would come in. So, and I've seen this behavior several times. Either we were late, and I think one time we actually left it open all night. Just one time, I think. And so that's what Mace was doing. He was positioning himself where the most logical spot for a predator to enter the barn would be. And as a little bantam coaching, I mean, he can't be 3 pounds. And of course, he's not going to do much good. He'll make a ruckus, and I would hear, because I have a baby monitor in the barn, so I would have heard a fight or something like that. Everybody would have freaked out, and we would run to the barn, but been too late for Mace. But he would have positioned himself at the front door, as all my other roosters have done. Every time a door is left open, they understand that is a weak point and that is a danger spot, and they always position themselves at that door until it's closed. Mace finally, he was happy once his pen door shut and I closed the back door. He settled down. He was fine, but he was making sure I went to his pen and made sure I closed his door, and then he settled down. So this is why I keep roosters. And I especially love the little bantam cochins. Yes, they're small, but you know what? They can do everything a big rooster can do. And all they are supposed to do is, of course they can't breed the big hens very well. It's kind of, they might manage. I mean, they try. But they watch the skies. They listen for danger. They watch for danger. Their heads are up when the hens' heads are down eating. That's why I have my roosters. And you don't have to have a rooster who's mean to you to be a good flock protector. Half the protection is knowing when danger is coming and alerting everybody to it. So the bantam coaches do a stellar job with that. And that's one reason I didn't want to get rid of any of the 4 roosters that I ended up with when I bought the chicks. They didn't sex the bantam coaches, so I didn't know how many were male. I ended up with 4. And that's a little bit too much. Now, Forrest can't breed the girls. He can't successfully breed them, but he has another set of eyes and ears. And that's why I wanted to keep him, because I thought this crazy bunch, I want them all looking different directions. And Mace would have been part of that group, and the Barred Rocks would have been part of that group. But when he and Gunner got to a thing, and it was obvious that was going to be a big rivalry, I decided Mace could have his own girls. So anyway, that is one thing that I don't think people realize that roosters will do. Now, maybe not all roosters, but I have had several roosters. Like I said, I don't often leave a door open. I mean, I haven't ever left that barn door open ever. But Mace, his internal clock said it was already past roost time, and his door wasn't shut, and it was danger. It was a danger to his girl, so he was not going to leave his station at the front door. And I was so impressed. I said, here I'm talking to this little rooster going, "You're such a good boy. I'm so proud of you. What a good boy, Mace." He was such a good boy. And he's so young, but he had a good example in the other 4 until, him and Gunner had it out and he couldn't stay there anymore. But he's just a good rooster. And so in this group of these chicks that Cricket's raising now, I either have 2 boys or 3 boys. I still don't know for sure. They're 4 weeks old. I don't know yet. We'll find out soon. In another week, I should have a good idea. I know I have at least 2 boys, and they're going to have to be rehomed, and I hope someone would take them together, because these teams are wonderful. Yeah, they tend to get a little bit like that in the springtime when their hormones are ramping up, but yeah, my rooster team is fabulous. And if you have the little guys, they won't be so hard on the hens generally. So I just wanted to tell you that story about Mace. And it just the things that roosters will do for their hens, and the sacrifices they make, it just gets me sometimes. I've seen so much with my roosters and Lady Hawk's roosters that she had, the things that they'll do and the intelligence they show is in some of it's instinct, and some of it's just is intelligence that people just don't understand. So I thought you would enjoy that story. But in saying that, don't let people steal your joy. Let all this crap that's going on out here, don't let it steal your joy. You have to live your life. If you give up your life for all and get embroiled in all this stuff all the time, pretty soon it'll be 10 years down the road and you're 10 years older, and you're going to wish that you had spent more time looking at sunsets, enjoying your kids, enjoying your chickens, or having chickens, or growing flowers, or doing whatever gives you joy, or crocheting, learning to crochet, learning to quilt. Do something creative and something that de-stresses you. So I know it's a little bit disjointed. I know it's 25 minutes, and I'm going to go now. And because I don't like to make super long videos, I know I do sometimes, but when they've got too many subjects at one time, it's too many subjects. So anyway, so what do you think about this color? This Cloud 9 color. It works out really pretty. Look at the colors in there. The blues and the green and the purple and a little cream. It's really pretty spring colors. I think this shirt is going to be fit much better than the other one. I just decided to make it because it was really easy to make. It was kind of fast to make, even though I think I'm going to have plenty of yarn for this one. But it's going to be a lot smaller. I can't believe I had to make the extra small size to be able to use a 5mm hook. I never would have guessed that. But y'all have a great day. See you later.